Hello and welcome to a new Vanguard Zero video. So I'm going to be doing some commentary over some card fights I did with fellow YouTuber and streamer JuanMango as part of the Clash of Kings tournament. So I'm doing the commentary afterwards just so I could actually concentrate and everything during the card fights, and these are some interesting ones here I had with him. They were very fun. And before we get into things properly, I do want to mention that he also streamed himself doing these card fights. So if you want to watch the same card fight from his point of view, which I've already done now, then I will put a link in the description to the stream where he did that. You'll have to find it yourself because it is part of a larger stream, but maybe he'll upload it as a separate video separately. So I had to place my perfect guard down there, unfortunately, because I didn't really have anything else to use. So immediately, not a great start. At this point in the card fight, I was already, I was feeling nervous because this was the beginning of a tournament, and so I wanted to make sure that I didn't embarrass myself immediately, and then the very first thing I did in the entire tournament was place down my perfect guard. So that's not great, and that's actually a trend that continues throughout the course of these matches against Juan. Very good, by the way. Is this a little bit of a spoiler to say? You know, yeah, I won't say it. But yeah, he's playing Oracle Think Tanks, which actually filled me with a lot of confidence because Oracles are a clan I'm very familiar with. I used to play Oracles a lot back in Season 1 of Vanguard Zero. It wasn't until fairly recently that I switched over to Spikes. So yeah, I'm playing with Spikes because they're a deck that I am very confident in. I have a really good Spike Bros deck in my opinion, and so that's what I wanted to use. I've been playing with them a lot, and I've managed to put together a pretty good deck. I used Mecha Trainer there to get my perfect guard in my hand, which is great. And I already have a Dudley Dan in my hand too, so you can kind of see the strategy I'm sort of going for. And because I'm playing Spike Bros, I'm just going straight for the offensive. I'm a firm believer that if you get the chance to really do a lot of damage and punish them early on, then you should be doing that, unless you're playing a deck that doesn't fit that playstyle. So I'm just getting as many attacks in as possible, as early on as possible. And I don't even need to use the abilities of my front rear guards, which is good because that means I can still use Bracky's Intercept. So immediately, yes, I did have to place my perfect guard on the Vanguard circle earlier on in the game, but other than that, everything's going well. So Juan is going now, and he's placing out Wise Man, which is a fairly standard card to send out. You know, he's your vanilla, you know, just the 10k damage with no effect, and in fact he's going to send out another one, as well as a Coco, which will allow him to look at the top card of his deck. So I do know that his strategy going into it was that if I'm using Oracles, I just want to be checking the top card of my deck once per turn, if possible, just every single turn, so I can just guarantee my triggers, which is a very good strategy to have with an Oracle deck. Interesting that he didn't go for Tsukiyomi, he went for a more standard, Apollon sort of deck, but that's not bad because it's a fairly cheap deck, and it's not that bad. Apollon, you can do a lot with him. Is he the best deck in the world? No, but he's a fairly cheap deck, and he's a fairly easy one to get since he's been around since set 1, which means chances are, if you pull a lot of packs during set 1, then you already have quite the card you need to build his deck. So immediately I'm able to send out Siegfried, which puts me in a really good position. It gives me a lot of options, and in fact I decided to send out Skydiver as well. So I'm pretty sure my plan here was to use Rushing Express's effect to get rid of his Intercept, but then also free up a space on my field, which is good because I'm going to be using some effects later on this turn that allow me to get stuff out. So then I attack with Skydiver, which allows me to put Skydiver into my soul and to get out a card from my hand. And of course, you've got to get out Maximum Juggernaut, right? He's a very good card, and you'll notice so far I haven't used any of my boosts. So then I use Siegfried and Dudley Dan in the hopes that I can use Siegfried's effect to get out another monster. Now, the problem here is I probably should have given the power to the Wonder Boy behind Skydiver, because it was no real question as to whether or not Maximum Juggernaut would be able to get the attack through because he's got his effect and everything. I should have given the damage to Wonder Boy instead so that I'd be able to get through both attacks, which I unfortunately didn't do, which isn't good. That puts me in a bad position, which you may think, but you've already got, you know, you're only at 2 damage, whereas he's at 5 from the looks of things. And yeah, but that's the problem with Spike Rubbers. Spike Rubbers can get people to like 4 or 5 damage really easily within a turn or two. But getting them from 5th to 6th damage is where this deck kind of falters. It's the biggest problem with it, because, well, he's managed to get Apollon out, which means he's gonna draw his perfect guards. And this is where the game becomes difficult, because now he's gonna play on the defensive, which is what Oracles are supposed to do. And by playing on the defensive, he'll be able to defend himself against my attacks. He'll be using stuff like intercepts, like Silent Tom there, for example, and he'll be using perfect guards. Now, Silent Tom, why send that out? Well, obviously, you don't want to be sending Silent Tom out this early on in the game, because, you know, why would you? You can't use his effect. But unfortunately, he kind of had to. He had no choice. I kind of forced his hand, because he needed to have an intercept out in the field, and I guess he just didn't have any others, which is a shame, you know, like, for him it would have been much better if he could have just waited with a Silent Tom, but chances are if he has one Silent Tom, he's gonna have another one anyway, so he gets a heal trigger there, which is very good for him, and he's attacking my Seafried, like so, and I get a draw trigger. That's another thing, I just keep getting triggers to, like, I'm doing really well, but this is, as I mentioned, this is where spikes kind of falter, is once you get them to that 4 or 5th damage, it becomes a lot harder to make any forward pushes, because they've had more time to kind of set up against me. So I managed to get a Brachy, which is very good. Brachys and Rushing Expresses are always great cards to have, and I end up sending out Rushing Express. I guess my mentality there was wasting him so that I could use the Brachy in my hand later on. And of course I do still have a perfect guard, which is good. So I managed to get rid of that Rushing Express. And then I decided to attack his Sakia, which I think was kind of a mistake. I think I should have just pushed forward. I think there was no real particular reason to attack his Sakia. I think I was just getting a bit scared and playing a bit nervously because of the tournament. But I managed to get rid of my Brachy, so I just wasted that Brachy, I guess, to get out Maximum Juggernaut. That's good, because, you know, Juggernaut, like I said, is a very good card, and you want that. And in fact, things are going to go even better for me, because not only will I get that Juggernaut Maximum, but I'll get another one too, by using Seafried's ability. So my field is basically about as good as I could ask right now, because I've got a Seafried, 2 Juggernauts, 2 Wonder Boys, and a Dudley Dan, which is basically the perfect Spike Brothers field. And I decided to use... See, this is where I got a bit cautious, and this is where my downfall started to kind of happen. I'd ran out of soul at this point, and if I didn't attack that Sakia earlier, I could have won, I feel like, because I would have been able to get another attack on the Vanguard, which means that I would have been able to, you know, actually win. Would I have been able to get that attack through? Yeah, probably. I think so. But again, it's not about the, oh, I could have won. It's about, do I actually win? And that's what we're going to find out. So, I'm at 3 damage, which again, still isn't that bad. 3 damage and a perfect guard, that's not a bad position to be in, considering they're at 5 damage. And we've already burned 2 of their perfect guards at least. So there's that, and yeah, they're just going to send out another Sakia to replace the one I defeated anyway, so it was just kind of pointless. It was a waste of time. I didn't really earn anything by getting rid of that Sakia earlier. See, that's the problem. So he's going to get his triggers, because of course. I've been getting nothing but triggers all game, so of course he's going to start getting his too. And yeah. So I managed to get another trigger. I feel like by this point I would have pulled basically all of my triggers, because I've just been getting nothing but triggers this entire game. Although to be fair, I've only got 1 perfect guard in my hand, so I guess that kind of evens it out a little bit. Okay, so now it goes over to my turn. And I get another Rushing Express. Again, would love more grade 3s, but then again, since I'm so consistent at being able to pull triggers, and that works in my favor of Siegfried's ability, I guess getting Rushing Express instead of a grade 3 works out fine. So I don't send out Rushing Express, and that's because I've ran out of soul. See, if I had any soul left, then I would have sent out Rushing Express and Bracky and probably used their abilities to get rid of them. But that's fine because I can just burn my Bracky, my Rushing Express even to get out Skydiver. I'm not quite sure why I went for Skydiver instead of Juggernaut. I think it's just because I was like, well, I can't use Juggernaut's ability. But to be fair, I don't really think that Skydiver's ability would have benefited me here either. In fact, yeah. So, and in fact, I do actually have soul to use. So, again, I could have won there. I just keep making misplays. But that's the thing with tournaments and stuff, right? You're going to be making misplays and things, and that's not great, right? So now we're even. So now I've lost, basically, right? Like, because he's managed to, like, again, he was at 5 damage for basically the entire game there. Whereas I was just sitting at like 3 for majority, and now he's managed to even things up again, which basically gives me no room for error now. Like, I've basically lost. Like, luckily I have that intercept and perfect guard, but it's not going to be enough. I'm gonna lose, which is a shame, but whatever, right? You got to do what you gotta do. And I do fully believe that my loss there was just due to misplays because of tournament nerves and stuff, right? That's kind of a running theme with this tournament for me. Like, I can't even blame it on anything. It is genuinely just I lost games because I made misplays. And indeed, I lose there. So yeah, that was the first game. Let's go over to the second one now. So once again, to tournament nerves, I hit record too late, but you literally didn't miss anything. I sent out Rushing Express, and they sent out Bar, and that was it. That's all you missed. So, not a big deal, but yeah. Tournament nerves, am I right? Big event going on, and I keep messing up. Oh boy, I really hope next time we do something like this, I'm kind of more on my game when it comes to that. So, Juan has changed decks, and to someone not familiar with this tournament, you're probably like, okay, why did you do that? That's weird. Usually with tournaments you stick with one deck, right? Well, the way this tournament works is it's best of 3 rounds, as you can tell, but once you get 1 win, you have to switch over to a second anchor deck. And this basically means that you have to win with 2 different decks to actually win the round. This is their way of making sure that it's you that's good at the game and not necessarily just the deck, right? Because anyone can win with 1 good deck, but having to put together 2 different decks that you can win with, that takes a lot of skill. And I think it makes the tournament really interesting, and that's something we're going to be talking about in more detail in a later video about this tournament. So, going for a fairly basic first turn. And this game, by the way, is pretty insane. This one is... yeah, this is an interesting one. So immediately I waste soul on a card draw. So you can tell I've learned nothing. My downfall in the previous game was that I wasted my soul far too quickly. Whereas here, I am immediately wasting soul to draw 1 card, which, I mean, I already had a fairly big hand already. So I don't really think drawing that extra grade 1 really helped me all that much. So there's that, right? So I think it's his turn. Right now, I got Black Panther in the field, that's not bad. Having a Wonder Boy in the back row, that's pretty good too. I did, unfortunately, use Devil Summoner to get my Perfect Guard out on the field, that's not good. And you can tell this is someone who's gone against Spike Brothers before because he's sending out Tejas, and he's using it on Mecha Trainer. At least, well, I know he uses it on Mecha Trainer because, again, I was the one that did this card fight. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I thought I was safe, and the reason I tapped on him there to check his effect was because I forgot they haven't actually implemented his nerf yet. See, before the nerf was announced and everything, I would always send Mecha Trainer out to boost the rear guard. But now I know specifically to send Mecha Trainer out behind the Vanguard so that I can protect against Tejas. But again, Tejas hasn't actually been nerfed yet. That's only an announcement for the Japanese version. It hasn't actually been implemented to the English version yet. So yeah, as a Spike Bros player, you probably know where I'm standing on Tejas' nerf though. It definitely benefits me because like one of the best cards in the deck, Dudley Dan, is now just invincible basically, which is great. By the way, just drive check the Dudley Dan there, so there's that. So yeah, I don't have a Mecha Trainer anymore, which means I don't have a Dudley Dan, which sucks. I just gotta hope I draw him. And that's one of the problems in my deck. I only have 2 Dudley Dans. Now I do have a playset, but I only decided to put 2 in my deck because I was like, well, I have Mecha Trainer, so I could just guarantee one anyway. But I lost Mecha Trainer, so I kind of just gotta hope I draw him. And the odds of that aren't very high. So he's gonna send out Draconic Overlord immediately. And in fact, he's gonna send out another one. See, I'm pretty sure at this point he wanted to use Draconic Overlord's effect, but he forgot that by using Conroe's ability, that stops him from using Draconic Overlord's ability. So that's his first major misplay. Which, yeah, tournament nerves, right? You're gonna make misplays. I've made far more than him already. Because you can probably see that by using Draconic Overlord's ability, he can just get rid of my front rear guards, and Bracky is a very, very good card. So getting rid of both of those, and also being able to attack my Vanguard, would put him in a really good position right now. But unfortunately, he realizes that because he used the Counterblast on Conroe, that leads him to some more desperate measures. So he sends out his grade 1s, which so that he can still get any attacks in on the Vanguard at all. Of course though, just because he hasn't used Draconic Overlord's ability yet, and he can't use it right now, doesn't mean he won't be able to use it later still though. So he's going to attack my Bracky with his Vanguard, like so, and he's not going to get any triggers. And then, I guess he's just going to go for an attack on my Vanguard with his grade 1s. And I'm not going to get any triggers. I'm just going to waste a Wonder Boy, which is fine. I can deal with that. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure the Salamander has the ability to just get rid of rare guards like that, which is, once again, really good. Kagero is just a really good counter. And this is where I get really desperate, because I've got nothing but a hand of perfect guards, and I'm grade locked. So instead of just waiting, and his reaction to this on his version of the stream was very funny. I really wanted to see his reaction. But basically my 2 options were just do what everyone else would do and just wait it out and just take the damage and just hope I get a grade 3 next turn and use the perfect guards to protect myself, or place them down and actually push forward. And Spike Brothers are supposed to be an offensive deck. So fuck it, right? Just push forward. And this is the kind of gameplay you're going to see from me. Now immediately, yes, you're noticing that I actually only need to send out 2 of those 3 perfect guards because one of them didn't actually boost. And I didn't need to boost with it. But I'm going to be really chief, and this is what I'm about to say will make you think, wow, you deserved to lose the tournament. And that's that I did it because I thought it would be funny. I did it for content, TM. Just because I wanted to be known as the guy that sent out 4 perfect guards on his field during a legit tournament. With like money on the line and everything, by the way. Like the winner, I'm pretty sure, got like a $100 gift card. Like, I lost. At this exact moment was when I basically just gave up on the idea of ever winning that gift card. And you know what? That's fine. I wasn't going to win it anyway. I didn't particularly care about the money. But yeah, I did it because I thought it would be funny. And to be fair, I do think, seriously and genuinely, I do think bamboozling the enemy and like throwing them off their game and confusing them is a legit strategy. By pulling moves that they won't expect you to do, you're getting them to think about the wrong things. You're confusing them and you're distracting them. And he's at 5 damage. So basically, I'm actually not in as bad a situation as you'd expect. See, having all 4 perfect guards on the field sounds like the stupidest move in the world. It totally does, and it is. But it's opened up a victory for me. Because I placed down those perfect guards and got extra attacks in, that put me in a position where I might actually be able to win here, because now I finally got the grade 3s I need. And so I'm gonna send them out. Like so. And I move the other perfect guard forward just in case I get a trigger, because I'm really that desperate. And yeah, my plan is to just... I don't know why I attacked the skydiver there. I probably should have done that with my Vanguard, but whatever. It's not a big deal. I guess it doesn't make much of a difference. And I'm basically just banking on the idea that he just won't have any triggers. Or perfect guards even. So I get a trigger, which allows me to put the damage there. The power onto my perfect guard. And he's going to block it, because I mean, obviously, was there ever any doubt? Then I go for it again. And he blocks it again. Probably should have, you know, used it on his other Dragonic Overlord. But basically, if I can survive this turn, I've won the game. And the fact that I managed to turn things around, see, that's the funny thing about this game, is that in the first game of this round, I started off with every card I needed, and used them pretty effectively, but I still lost. Whereas in this second game, I had nothing. I was grade locked. I had to use perfect guards, and I'm already in a favorable position right now, which is crazy. Like, that's actually legitimately crazy. So I'm sure by this point he's very confused, and in fact, again, from watching his stream, he was very, very, very confused. And I genuinely think that might be what won me it. You know, like, he seems to blame it on a misplay he made, but that's the thing. I confused him, I bamboozled him, which caused him to make that misplay. So I still think I earned that win. I don't think I should have, like, I will admit, cheesy win, cheesy victory. I don't think it was the cleanest win in the world, but hey, it was a win and I got it. So hey, I'm gonna celebrate that. And it was a very unique win, so that's another thing I'll celebrate. So now it's my turn, and I just need to, I just need to attack his Vanguard once and I win. And I'm gonna go for Siegfried, right? Yeah. See, I was kind of weighing up. I was like, do I send Siegfried out in the Rare Guard, or... And I'm like, you know what? No, if I can get another trigger, then I basically won, right? So... Where do I send Black Panther, actually? Because I don't want to send him out of the front in case I can use Siegfried's ability. So I just send him on the back, yeah. And I send out Rushing Express, and my plan is to use Rushing Express's ability to get rid of him, and then activate Siegfried's ability, which will allow me to get a trigger and send that trigger out on the field. And then I call Final Turn, which I was told since then that you're not supposed to do during tournaments, so I apologize. I didn't know that. I just thought it was a feature of the game, so why not use it, right? Big thanks to Juan for not ratting me out to the tournament, judges and stuff, and I promise I won't do it again. I didn't know. And then I'll get a heal trigger, which is great. So, yeah, you know what? Yeah, sure, I didn't deserve that win because I called Final Time, but whatever. I didn't know. And it's not like I made it that far through the tournament anyway. I did get a lot of losses after this point. So, then we get another attack in with Maximum Juggernaut, and we win, basically. That's how it goes. This attack goes through, and we win, which means we go over to game 3. Okay, so game 3 starts. So, yes, we only have one more game now until we figure out who the winner of this best of 3 is. And I've switched over to my Dark Regulars deck because, of course, you have to, once you've won, switch over to a different deck, right? And this Dark Regulars deck, I feel like, yeah, I didn't do too great with it. I feel like my biggest problem with this tournament overall, other than tournament nerves and all that other stuff, was I just needed to get more practice in with this Dark Regulars deck. I previously said that I think I'd be giving up on the Dark Regulars deck, but I'm actually going to give it another shot and just going to keep practicing with it, because I do think that it's a good deck. I just need to play with it more, and I need to really learn how it works. And so, yes, to me, a lot of the misplays and stuff I'm going to be making here with this Dark Regulus deck are going to look a bit cringy, but I'm learning, I'm new, you know, I'm not as experienced as a lot of these people, and it's because of that that I was never going to really realistically win this tournament or anything, and that's fine. I think the experience is more than worth it anyway. So he had to write his Perfect Guard immediately off the bat, which isn't great, but I had to immediately write my Perfect Guard in my first game too, so, you know, it happens to the best of us, and in fact, it looks like he wasted another Perfect Guard there, so not doing too great. But of course, his Conroe that he has can guarantee him another Perfect Guard if he needs it. So there's that. So looks like he sends out Nihilum, and so I can't remember exactly which strategy, because of course I played a lot of games yesterday during the tournament, and so I can't remember exactly which strategy I went for. But that's the problem with my Dark Regulus deck. I think I'm a bit too all over the place in terms of strategies and stuff, and now I have a strategy I think I want to just consistently go for every game, and that strategy is get Ammon out as fast as possible and use his ability to build up my soul. Previously, I've been sending out and using a lot of Succubus cards to build my soul, but I don't really need that because I've already got Ammon, and Ammon can build your soul for you whilst also being able to retire your opponent's rare guards. So it's a win-win, basically. So I think the problem with my deck, with my Dark Regulus, is I'm building up soul too much. And that's kind of a problem. So someone in Juan's stream kind of criticized me, I guess, for putting Ammon as heals rather than Edelrose. But if you can see here, no, Edelrose is my heal. I'm not that stupid, so I just wanted to mention that just in case you can't see it very openly on the screen. And in fact, there's one point later on, which I guess I should talk about when we get to it, but I'll just talk about it now, because right now my strategy is fairly basic. I'm just sending out some grade 2s and then attacking with them, so nothing too extraordinary there. But basically, there's a part later on in the game where I send out 2 Edelroses, and of course you could probably ask, oh, if you're going to send out 2 Edelroses, because you can only really use the effect of the one in the Vanguard circle, why not just send out 1 Edelrose and then use the other one to just get a Siegfried, and use him because he has more attack than Edelrose and he has the intercept. Well, I wanted to, it just wouldn't let me. And I guess we'll see that in action when we get to it. I think I used up all my Siegfrieds already, because of course Edelrose's ability is to search for a Siegfried in your deck and add it to your hand, and so I guess I just didn't have any in my deck. Which is bad, and that's not a good move on my part. It should have been my job to keep track of that and make sure that I didn't use up them all. You know, I should have used stuff like Gwyn. See, because I do have 2 Gwyns in my hand, but I didn't send them out because I'm like, well, why am I going to send them out if I'm not going to be able to use its effect, right? And yeah, that's a good point actually, right? But I'm now realizing that I probably should have sent them out so I'd still have Siegfrieds to use later on, because that's what really killed me here. So, they're using Goku here, fairly standard Kagero strategy and deck to go for. And I'm getting my Death Anchor as a trigger, and it's getting me another Siegfried. See, you can kind of see why I wasn't able to use Edelrose's ability to search for another one. So this is the second dreaded Edelrose, and I decided to send out Edelrose because I'm an idiot. And you'll see why I'm an idiot later. So then I send out Gwyn, and I use Gwyn to get rid of his intercept, and that's why I'm an idiot. Edelrose is only good if you can use her ability. Only good if you can use her ability. Because she has 9,000 damage, which is nothing. There are grade 2 units that have more damage than that. Hell, the grade 1 Ammon, if you have a big enough soul, has equal damage to that. And the grade 1 Ammon can boost. So a 9k grade 3 is awful. But that's why she has her ability that allows her to give her another crit and 5,000 extra damage. But you have to counterblast too, which I already used Gwyn's ability for. And using Edelrose's ability would have been so much better than using Gwyn that it's not even funny. So I misplayed that. That costed me the game. Like, I just wasn't gonna win because I made such a blunder. Because the strategy I went for, because Dark Regulus have a lot of different strategies, that you can rely on. Do you want to go Death Anchor? Do you want to go Ammon? Do you want to go Edel Rose? I chose Edel Rose because that's what I had in my hand. But then I didn't actually use her. And so I was just attacking. So my plan of winning at that point was attacking with a 9k Vanguard and not even using its effect. So yeah, that's barely gonna win you against a VP farmer, let alone someone who actually knows what they're doing. And he's smart because he's sending out intercepts and just kneecapping me by getting rid of my intercepts. Which is good, and he's getting the triggers he needs, which to be fair, at this point he earned because he's beaten me so thoroughly. This is one of those card fights, and a lot of the Darker regular fights I've had were like this. Where I was just like, well, I'm not gonna win and there's nothing I can do about it. Now, when I said that move from earlier was gonna cost me the game, I may have put a bit of a porcupine to keep things interesting, because I do actually win this. This is the only round of the tournament I ended up winning. And yeah, okay, so you can see where I was at here. I have 2 Edel Roses in my hand, and as you can see, its effect. So I could use the effect of one of them to get the 4th and final Seafried into my hand. Smart move, right? But then I can't use the other one. And so I just have an Edel Rose that I just can't use, which is extremely frustrating. And yeah, I was gonna send out Gwen, and I should have, but I was like, I can't use this effect yet, I'll send it out later. But I'm like, I'm not gonna survive much longer, so I may as well just send it out and get the extra intercept, right? But luckily, luck is on my side, and that's what won me the game. I'm willing to admit that. I did not deserve this win. Juan definitely deserved it. In fact, this is kind of a painful card fight to watch. You can definitely tell this was a deck I put together last minute. I thought I was being very clever by picking a pretty high tier deck that not many people play because 1, it's high tier, it's a really good deck if you know what you're doing, and 2, well, not many people play it. And in fact, I was the only person to play it in this entire tournament from what I've heard. So no one would really know how to counter it, right? But none of that matters if I don't know how to play my own deck. And so I just shouldn't have. See, I have another deck and it's an Oracle Think Tank deck, and it's not great, but I'm more familiar with that, and so I probably would have got more wins if I used that. And that's not me making a cheap excuse, that's me actually blaming myself for making the bad decision, right? And so now going forward, I'll know to stick with more important decks, like that I'm not more important decks, but decks that I'm more familiar with rather than which is better. So basically, I just need to practice more, and that's a given, right? Because, yeah, duh. Obviously, the person most familiar with their deck and the person who knows what they're doing is going to win. Except, not obviously, because even though he knows what he's doing, and he's getting the triggers he needs, and so on and so forth, and he's using blockade so he can just ignore my Seafried if he wants to, he's gonna, well, yeah. So I think he's deciding which card to use this trigger on, if I'm correct. So he's just thinking about that, and he gives it to that to make sure he can get all 3 attacks in, which is a clever move. But I'm going to get a heal trigger that I can't use, and that's another Edel Rose. God damn it, this is the only game where I've just gotten too many Edel Roses. Usually she just never ever shows up. Maybe I'll get her at the beginning and use her to get a Seafried, and then that's it, I just never see her again. But this one I'm just getting nothing but Edel Roses. Which again sucks, because just like Dudley Dan, she's only good on one area of the board. So you only realistically need one at a time. And that's why she has the ability to let you search for Seafried, because then you can get rid of her, so you can draw as a heal trigger. So I just get a really good draw here, honestly, because now I can actually get some stuff done, basically. Not the best field in the world, certainly not what I would imagine a game-winning field to be like. But, I mean, hey, it's the best I've got, right? So, I attack, and I get a trigger, and that trigger wins me the game single-handedly. And I feel bad about it, honestly. I know I shouldn't. I know, whatever, it's just a card fight. Who cares? But I do kind of feel bad about this win. I don't know. I don't feel happy with it. And yeah, I win. So I'll see you later with some more of my Clash of Kings tournaments. And to Juan, I totally understand if you hate me. I'm very sorry. So yeah, see you later with some more Vanguard Zero. Subscribe to see more.